Typhoon brought these two together. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians Beardcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to find out more about these Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com.
Hey, and we're live. Thanks for tuning in with the Bearded Theologians. I'm Zach Bechtold.
And I'm Matt Franks.
And we're going to continue on with our Three Simple Rules podcast series. Last week we went through Do No Harm and talked about what it's like to be intentional about not harming people, whether it be in person or on social media, and just through our actions. And today we're going to move on to doing good. And I wanted to start out with we're using the Three Simple Rules as a guide. John Wesley, did them, and Rubin Job wrote a book on them. And I wanted to read a quote from the book that I think is really relevant on what it means to do good, kind of our foundation, our basis of it. And it says, "The words of Jesus and Wesley suggest that doing good is a universal command. That is, doing good is not limited to those like me or those who like me. Doing good is directed at everyone, even those who do not fit my category of worthy to receive any good that I or others can direct their way. This command is also universal, and no one is exempt from it." So I think the foundation is pretty clear. It's set. We're to do good, not to just those who like us or that we like, but to everyone, and that everyone is to do good. Nobody's exempt from it. So, Franks, what do you think about doing good?
Well, just that next paragraph actually kind of lays down how I feel. Doing good, like doing no harm, is a proactive way of living. I do not need to wait to be asked to do some good deed or provide some needed help. I do not need to wait until circumstances cry out for aid to relieve suffering or to correct some horrible injustice. It's a way of living. If we agree to do good, it's something that we, from the very beginning of our day, that we agree we're going to do good. We don't have to go seek the issues of doing good. It's just in everything that we do. When we hear about a circumstance, whether it's someone that's in need of aid in whatever way, or just care, we should just go do it and not have to ask and do permission, but just be in the kind of kindness of doing good without really having to think about it or stress about, well, are they going to like it, just by doing it. And I think that it is a choice and an action that you must make ahead of time, and it's not something you can just like sit back and wait. Well, when this occurs, I'll be ready to do good. And I think that we have to be ready for that.
Well, I think we play that game, like you said. We sometimes sit around and wait for the opportunities to do good. It's kind of like waiting for the opportunity to be a hero. People who do extraordinary things don't wake up and say, I'm going to be a hero today. I'm going to do something great. I'm going to do good. They don't wait around for those opportunities. They make that choice when they wake up each day of whatever comes at me, whatever comes on, I'm telling it. I think Jesus was the perfect example of that. He didn't shy away from it. He didn't say, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. I'm going to encounter these people, and I'm going to do this. He took it as it came, and he chose to do good, and he was inherently good. I mean, it was just a part of who he was. It was that lifestyle. And I think for us as Christians, as disciples, as just people in general, it's being very intentional about doing good and doing all the good that we can, rather than just waiting for those opportunities to arise.
Well, do you think it's something, as you strive to live out your faith, it's something that should already be ingrained in us? Jesus himself kind of modeled doing good all the time. And even when sometimes doing good meant breaking what was the social norm, the rabbis and the Jewish leaders were not really happy with Jesus eating with the outsiders. And found himself in a lot of trouble because of that. But I think that what he felt was doing good was actually really doing good, spending time with people that need that kind of attention. And I think that far too often we see doing good as an act versus just an action. And it's something that should be a part of us, whether it's when we're driving down the road and we see some opportunity to do good, to be able to do that versus just sitting back and kind of waiting. And I think far too often we miss out on opportunities to do good because we weigh too much on other things versus just doing it. I think far too often we are so afraid from just doing good that it holds us back from doing the most good that we could possibly do.
Right. I agree. I mean, I think that what holds us back the most is when we see people who are in need and need money or need food or, just people, we look at them and go, well, if I give this to them, what are they going to do with it? And I think at that point, it's between them and God. It's between them and what they do with the good that we bring, whether it's money or food or whatever. It doesn't really matter. We have to let ourselves get out of the way. Do good when the opportunity is there without question. It's unconditional. And I'm not saying go and give money to everybody that asks for it, but don't let the thing of, well, they're just going to go buy alcohol with it or cigarettes or, they're not going to use it how I want them to, so I'm not going to do it. That's not the point of doing good. Doing good is helping people. It's doing it without question. It's not your call what people do with what you give them. And I think too often we let that get in the way of, well, they're not going to do it the way I want them to do it, or use it the way I want them to do it. So I'm not going to do good. I'm not going to go there today. I think we let that get in the way. We let ourselves get in the way of us doing good.
Well, and it was funny because you brought that up about giving money to people that, wondering what their actions may be. When I was in college, there was a guy with a sign that said, "I just want a beer." And so I gave him a 20. It's like, here, have several, because, he was just being honest. And I was just like, well, it doesn't hurt to be honest. And I think far too often when we talk about doing good, we paint it as being a clean picture. That good is like this ultimate clean thing that we can do. And sometimes doing good means getting a little bit dirty and maybe putting ourselves in positions that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but also maybe life-giving in its own right. And I think far too often we're so afraid about what people may perceive of us when we're doing good that we choose not to do good. And I think that that's kind of where the hang-up becomes in doing good, is we get caught up in that outside perception.
You brought up earlier the way that Jesus did it. He went against the social norms. He went against, the things that the religious leaders, the law and those things, worked on the Sabbath. He ate with sinners. Those weren't attractive things in the eyes of those people. And it was messy. It was uncomfortable for them. Jesus got dirty in it, and he kind of upset the apple cart a little bit. And I think we're truly doing good. It's going to go against some social norms. It's going to go against, some beliefs and things, and are comfortable with. And maybe that's one of the signs of truly doing good, that it goes against the grain a little bit in a society that would tell you to hold back, don't do that, don't mess with those people. They're not like you. I think we get caught up too much in being comfortable, and we'll do good when it's comfortable for us, when it works for us. But I think you're right. I think most of the time it's gonna, or it should, make us a little bit uncomfortable, and that's okay. We should embrace that and go with it.
Well, Job in his book points out, and I don't know what page this is on because I'm using my Kindle, but it says, it will mean that the common good will be my first thought, and what is good for me will become my secondary thought. And I think that that's something important, is that if we're trying to do good and it makes us look good, maybe it's not doing good. And that doing real good puts you behind the scenes and nobody knows that you did it. I can't tell you how many times being in the church, people have done good without them wanting other people to know what was going on. And I think that that's important, that when we do good, it's not about us. And when we make it about us, the real question is, are we doing good or are we doing harm because we're trying to make it about us?
Yeah, that's huge. Working with youth and in ministry for so long, how many mission trips have you been on that everybody's excited to go on the mission trip and help people, but how often does it become about the fun things we're doing at the end of the mission trip, or becomes really self-involved? Here's what we're doing on this person's house. Here's what we're doing for them, that person, helping, building a relationship, rather than coming in and doing what we do for a week and then leaving, not to think about that person really again. Are we really doing good there, or are we doing more harm?
Well, and I think in those situations, like those short-term missions, it's about establishing relationships. And I think far too often groups will come in and do something and not get to know the people that they're working with. I can tell you in the last, really the last 5 years of doing missions in Kansas City and Chicago, I've really worked hard on making sure that we make relationships and they get to know the person, and then carrying those relationships on afterwards. Maybe it's sending them Christmas cards or birthday cards and stuff like that. And the true good is done in the relationship building. It's not about what we did for them. It's about the fact that there were people willing to come and spend time with people for just an amount of time to do good in a unique and special way.
That's right. It's all about that relationship. And the same goes for whether we're on missions or we're sitting in a pew on Sunday morning or we're out eating lunch. It's building those relationships with people. That's where good comes from. If we're not building relationships even a little bit, if we're not learning people's names, our waiter's name, our cashier's names, or if we're not willing to look the homeless person in the eyes, we drive past them. We're not acknowledging people as people, and then there's no way we can do good in that. So you're right. It comes down to building that relationship, even if it's brief, even if it's just a little bit, but acknowledging people as people, I think is a good foundation for good to come from it, even if there's nothing else to offer them but a smile or a hug or acknowledgement.
Do you think that there's a way that we can talk about doing good without it being about action?
Talking about good without it being an action, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
I think it's just overall how we are as people. It goes back to that being really intentional. We talked last week about being intentional about doing no harm. I think it goes back to being intentional about being good, making the intentional commitment of just being good, not a good person or a good Christian, but simply good, and making trying to get it out of the verb, out of physically doing something. But that's a good question. I think it's simply, everybody has a different definition of good. What is good? I like really strong coffee, and I think it's good. Other people want it a little weaker, want to be able to see through it. I don't think that's good. And so it comes down to that. For me, what is good? What does it look like for me to be good in the world?
And I think that's where we come back around full circle, and we talk about it's the sole decision of way of living versus an action. And I think that's where it lies, is that it's not just about doing things. Anybody can do something good, but it's about how we live our lives. And whether we choose to be a good person or not is up to us. It's not about what we do. There are people in this world that do good things but are horrible people. And so I think that it comes back to how we choose to live our lives. For me, doing good kind of comes from God's love, and I think of that verse in First John. We love because God first loved us, and that's where I that's kind of the basis of everything that I do, is that it has to be centered and focused on love. And that sometimes that's a struggle in this day and age. And so I think we brought it back full circle and put it not on a sense of an action, which is kind of where we were going, but now we've kind of come back around to saying it's not about an action, it's about a way of living and a way that we agree to be. And then because we agree to do good, we then, everything that we do strives to do good. And I think that that's kind of where we've come full circle within that.
Yeah, I think so. That's the perfect verse to go with it. God loves me, so therefore I love. It's that lifestyle choice of I've been loved unconditionally, so therefore I'm going to go and love likewise. I'm really big on loving God with everything that we have and loving people, and it's in that same vein. If we're not loving people, are we truly loving God? No, because that's His commandment, is to do both with everything that we have, and that's tough. But we wake up and make decision to live into that each and every day. And that's what makes this so hard. These rules are simple. Do no harm sounds simple. Do good sounds simple, and yet we find ourselves struggling with them because they're difficult things to do. Because there's crazy stuff going on in the world, and we're dealing with people and dealing with issues, and sometimes it's hard to go out and do these things, but yet it's a choice that we make to get up and do it. And when we come together as brothers and sisters in Christ and as people, and we agree that we're going to do good and we're going to do all the good that we can, we have people to walk alongside us, hold us accountable, and do good with us. And it makes it maybe a little easier. Maybe it makes it more difficult at times, but here we are, having the conversation, hoping that we can do good and encourage you to do good. And so that's what we want to do today. We want to invite you guys to continue to have the conversation. Where have you seen people do good lately? Where have you done good lately? What are the opportunities that have been put in front of you to live into this lifestyle, to live into this commandment, to live into this idea of doing good? Before we go, we want to thank all of those who participated in our jurisdictional meme contest. We got a couple of winners. We had some great memes come across. We had a lot of fun getting them on our Facebook wall and on the Twitters. It was a lot of fun. And if you were following us on Twitter, we put a lot out there, and we hope that you laughed along with us. And but the overall winner for the meme competition, the jurisdictional meme competition, was Kyle Kinner. He posted one. We named it "Electing a Bishop" as like Pokemon Go. We thought that was perfect for the time. Very relevant. Good job, Kyle. Thanks for playing along with us. And then I guess our first runner-up that we would love to send a mug to would be Jamie Montgomery with her Bishop Bledsoe ballot number 28 meme. It was great. So thank you guys for playing along. I hope you had fun, as much fun as we did with it. And we'll send you guys some mugs, and just have a good time with it. And again, for the Bearded Theologians, thanks for checking us out. We pray and hope that you take every opportunity to do good this week. I'm Zach Bechtold.
I'm Matt Franks.
Thanks for checking us out, and go do all the good that you can.